I observed many teachers and learned a plethora of information about unit planning, lesson development, high-impact strategies, project-based learning, subject-specific strategies, scaffolding, and differentiation. This module allowed me insight into others' teachers' ways of engaging students at all readiness levels, interests, and learning styles. I have been brought into a totally new way of looking at my class and how I must prepare for instruction and activities. This module has been incredibly useful. One example of a teacher who really inspired me is the video done from Westling that introduces the pinwheel activity, as well as the tally mark strategy used for assessment. You could tell that she had used this assignment as a final product of accumulated work over a longer period of time. She provided students with ample time to prepare for discussion and allowed for prompting questions. It was also apparent through the video that students had learned academic vocabulary to make the discussion feel fluid and very high level. Students were saying, "I agree with you, but what about? From what I read, I think, I can see where you're coming from, but I wonder if." These are introductory phrases and examples of scaffolding. This teacher spent a lot of time dissecting the piece of literature they were studying so that students had the capacity to have deep and meaningful discussions. This activity was very effective because students were in control of their learning. It was a real-world style of dialogue where students engaged with each other and also tested certain opinions and aspects of the reading. The teacher sat apart and showing students what parts of their conversation were effective and sophisticated and where they were lacking. The teacher can automatically see what students are prepared for the next assignment, have been learning from instruction and activities, and are capable of using the text in a real way. This is an effective way to assess whether there are areas of weakness that need to be readdressed. I love this activity, and this teacher was really inspiring in her video. Technology can be rather intimidating to me, but Birdaxa makes it seem easy and useful. That is where my hesitation lies. Is technology necessary to use, or can I create an assignment or activity that isn't tech-based? However, graphic organizers, set and starters can provide students with more scaffolding than necessary at times. I worry that it sets students up to do less work, and that this will lead them to always depend on receiving things and not to take them into memory, which is the hope. They won't fashion their own beginnings to the 5-paragraph essay and wait for the teacher to provide options. Students may not even know what these phrases mean, and that is a horrible thought. I need for them to understand what the starters mean so they can continue to use them in an appropriate way. Birdaxa used an online survey of sorts that taps into students' prior knowledge and puts the work back into the hands of the students. It also adds more academic vocabulary into their toolkits to use in the future. For this online assignment, students are given set and starters, and above that there is a legend containing alternate reworded starts that mean the same thing as one of the ones below. Students have to refer to the legend and match the synonymic phrase with one provided. Clearly, a teacher has to create this assignment online, provide the various starters and synonym phrases for them, and then assess where students are in regards to academic language and understandings of the way paragraphs in an essay work. I'd alter this assignment to also improve upon introducing other academic vocabulary. Thesis, opinion, counterclaim, opposing opinion, evidence, reasons that support opinions from various sources, etc. I think this style of matching is incredibly useful and will use it in the future with my students. It would provide an opportunity for open-ended questions as well. I would like to see responses to essential questions through this medium as well. This serves as a great way to quickly assess what students know, what needs to be retaught, and where students should head next. Unit and lesson planning are paramount to thoughtful and purposeful teaching. There is no way around it. Throughout this unit, I was able to really see this module come together and the various teaching learning strategies that allowed a unit or lesson to be really successful. I love that there was a variety of educators showcased and that their techniques weren't repeated over and over again. Every resource was fresh and showed a novel way of engaging students. I want to ensure that my units do just that, and that my individual lessons also include these strategies. I will not be able to use all of them in one lesson, but over the course of a unit, I definitely have learned how to approach learning from all sides of the educational paradigm. Previously, I used some of these techniques, but I found lesson planning to be a day-to-day sort of process. I hadn't thought of going from the end of the beginning and wasn't giving much guidance in relation to developing a powerful unit. I had ideas of where the students were headed, but I was just trying to get them there from beginning to end, and I didn't even know at times how long that would take. I want to adjust my curriculum to match the unpacking by design ways of planning. Throughout the module, I used some of the new teaching strategies and was met with success. My students were more excited, captivated, and active in their own learning. My classroom became more student-centered, and I had to work less. I know that effective and thorough planning is required for my lesson to run smoothly, and from experience, this is true. My students can tell when lessons aren't as planned for as others, and they react at the classroom climate and my open-ended style of teaching. This is then reflected in their work. When I use these lesson planning strategies and spend the necessary time planning, my students gain more knowledge and skills that will help them in subsequent lessons. It's not always easy to take so much time on lessons, but once I completed this module, I felt as if I had memorized activities that resonated with me, and it will be easy for me to pull them out and use them when appropriate.